Good morning. Today I'm going to be trying out another author. If you've seen recently my Katrina Leno video or my A.S. King video, this is exactly the same except it's a different author. So this time I thought it would be really appropriate, since November is Indigenous Heritage Month, National, I can't speak. I thought it would be really good to pick an Indigenous author. So I'm going to be reading 3 books by Stephen Graham Jones, which I feel like is the obvious choice, but a lot of other Indigenous authors I had already read one of their books, whereas him I had not. So I wanted to pick an author that I hadn't read anything from. So I know this is only 2, but I'm going to be reading 3. So I'm going to be reading The Night of the Mannequin, which I'm really unsure about. I think this is going to freak me the hell out. I'm going to be reading The Only Good Indians, which I have no clue what it's about. I'll tell you when I get to it. And then I'm going to be reading Mapping the Interior, which will be an audiobook, which is why I don't have it to show it to you. I also will be listening and reading this at the same time, just kind of picking whichever feels right in the moment. And this one I'm going to be reading right now. How do I think I'm going to like them? Now, knowing barely anything about any of them, just kind of what other people have reviewed them as, I think I'm gonna like The Only Good Indians the most, Mapping the Interior next, and then The Mannequins the least. I think Mannequins might get like a 3-star for me. Mapping the Interior will probably also get like a 3.5 for me. And I think The Only Good Indians will get a 4.5. That's my prediction for this video. I'm gonna sit down and read this right now. It's only 131 pages, so I might be able to knock it out this morning before I have to leave in 2 hours. Good? Okay. I finished Night at the Museum. God, I keep calling it this. I finished Night of the Mannequins actually yesterday. I've just been too busy to be able to sit down and talk to you all about it, but it's done and I'm officially ready to start my next one, which I'm not sure which one I'm going to start next. Sidetracked. Okay, so let me see what I'm allowed to tell you all before I start saying my thoughts and opinions. So I'm only going to say as much as the back cover already says, so won't get too much more into the summary beyond that. But basically we are following these 5 kids. I think they're in high school, right? And so they have decided to, they kind of have been like really best friends all their lives. They decide to 4 of them pull this prank on the 5th one. She works at this movie theater and they decide to dress up this mannequin that they used to play with when they were children, that they found like out in the swamp, and dress it up as if it is a moviegoer, and then like complain about something in the movie theater so that the manager would come through and then be scared by a mannequin, right? So that was supposed to be the prank, but the manager comes through and he doesn't get scared by the mannequin. He keeps going, he keeps counting everyone's tickets, and at the end of the movie, the mannequin gets up and walks out, and then the mannequin starts killing people. Or so you think. The main boy that we are following, named Sawyer, is convinced that the mannequin is now jealous of the fact that they, the human beings, moved on without him and kind of like found lives without him, and the mannequin is now trying to, he's not quite sure, either come back into their lives and be like friends with them again, or he's trying to kill them in revenge for what they did. And so Sawyer is appalled because the mannequin on his first murder spree doesn't just kill the friend in their friend group who abandoned the mannequin, but the mannequin kills their entire family. So Sawyer takes it upon himself to keep the families of his friends safe by murdering certain people. So the whole entire book is much more psychological than I thought, and it's way shorter than I thought. Like, the librarian handed it to me and my face was just like, I normally don't like short stories, but I really enjoyed this one. I felt like it had just the right amount of spooky. To be fair, I'm actually afraid of mannequins. Like, in real life, if you ever are in a store with me, you will watch me do a wide berth around all the mannequins because I hate them. I hate them so much. So that was already going for me, to be fair. But the psychologicalness of the book also like did it for me, because if it had turned out just to be like a mannequin came to life and killed people, if we didn't have the psychologicalness of Sawyer being like, is it a mannequin? Is it not? Am I protecting people? Am I not protecting people? What's going on? If we hadn't had all of that, I don't think I would have cared about the story, honestly. And so I really liked how Stephen Graham Jones like elevated this story into another realm, and I really just enjoyed it overall. It's like I said, normally I'm not into short stories, but his writing was really good. I felt like he had enough development of all of the characters and all of the plot that it didn't feel super short to me, and I enjoyed it. It felt like the perfect length. So I ended up rating this, what did I rate this, 4 stars? I ended up rating this 3.5 stars. The reason why I didn't get 4 stars, that's correct, is because the ending wraps up really quickly and almost feels like it comes out of nowhere, to be honest. Like, you're sitting there reading and you're like, okay, yeah, Sawyer's doing his thing, Sawyer's, what the hell? And it's just like, there's something that kind of just comes out of left field and didn't feel like it had any build up to it, really. I guess looking back, I can see a few like hints as to that thing happening, but I just wanted like a little bit more clues as to what was going to come down at the very end of the story. Although the end of the story did make me chuckle, probably because I enjoy laughing at people's pain. So I really enjoyed it. I think I will pick up Mapping the Interior next because it is also a short story, and I think I'd like to read those two back to back in order to compare them. Okay, so I finished Mapping the Interior. I pretty much sat down, had it playing while I was making dinner, getting dinner ready, eating dinner. That's only 2 things, but it was really short and I finished it and I didn't love it, honestly. It felt very short story-y to me. I think I also would have rated it a little bit higher if I hadn't listened to it because the narrator kind of annoyed me. So I do wish I would have been able to have read that one instead of listening to it, but I ended up rating it a 2.5. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't amazing. It was just very middle of the road. So we're following this boy whose name I don't think we ever got, and if we did, it was like offhand. So we're following this narrator. He's young. I think he was in high school too, which is an interesting connection I could make between that and Night of the Mannequins. His father has died and his mother has moved him and his little brother off the reservoir. Reservoir? I don't think that's the right word. I'm a little bit tired right now, that's why I can't think of the right word. Reservation. Oh my god. Oh my god. I am so sorry that I got that wrong. That's on me and that's bad. She's moved them off the reservation and he has started to think that he sleepwalks at night and he started to think that his dad is visiting him. I thought that it was gonna be more psychological, I guess. More stuff was going to happen. I felt like just a lot, like nothing happened in this book. It was a lot of nothingness. There was this kind of like drama between them and their neighbors, and there was some drama between, because his brother is definitely on the spectrum and isn't receiving help at the beginning of the book. I thought there was gonna be maybe some more with that, but it just, by the end, I just kind of felt like that was it. That's how you're gonna end the book? Okay. I also for a little bit thought that it was gonna turn into a vampire book, which, I mean, it had some like vampiric themes to it, but it's really funny because I hate vampire books, and for whatever reason this past week I've read 4 vampire books, which is like unheard of for me. I've probably read, including the 4 that I read this week, 6 vampire books in my entire life. So like, how did I manage to read 4-ish this week? So it just kind of had some vampire-ish themes. It really wasn't a vampire book, but it kind of was, and it kind of wasn't. I'm disappointed that I didn't love it, honestly. I think I'm going to really love The Only Good Indians. So we're going to probably not start that tonight because I have a slight headache, and I think that it would just be best for me to go into that fresh and new. It's honestly not that long of a book either, so this video is probably going to be a really short one because I picked kind of 3 short books from this author, but I think he tends to write shorter works. Anyways, good morning. Oh, that's way too hot. Mistake. We made it through a tropical storm last night, which is awesome that we survived, but I mean, I'm a Floridian. Tropical storms really don't mean much to me. Ugh, I don't have much light on the other side of my face. Good morning. I have officially finished The Only Good Indians. I actually finished it 2 days ago. It was a 1-day read because the audiobook is only like 8.5 hours long. I really enjoyed it. I will tell you a little bit about it right now, actually. So the story follows these 4 men Native American men. I don't remember what tribe they're in or if it even said actually. It just says American Indian. Not to say that the book didn't go into more detail later. So we're following these 4 men, and I'm going to spoil just slightly more than what the summary spoils, just so that I feel like the summary really didn't give you a good idea of what the book is about, and I'm going to give you a good idea of what the book's about without actually spoiling any of the like important stuff in the book. So if you don't want to know anything, skip ahead until I put this book down. So this book is following 4 men, but in the very first chapter, one of them dies, and the other 3 believe that they are being haunted by this elk goddess woman entity that they think they hunted elk on this like forbidden land earlier, like 4 years ago, and they believe that she's now coming back and haunting them and killing them off one at a time. And so you're kind of following them as they are going into like this descent into madness because they're not sure if it's real or they're not sure it's not real. From the get-go, we follow these 4 men. So each of the 4 men get their own like section of the book. The first man, who dies pretty quickly, only gets 1 chapter, and then the next 3 get their own parts. So I'm gonna set this down now. We're really following 3 men throughout the story, and each of them kind of gets their own section of the book. So the first guy that gets to talk really gets the longest, and I liked his part the best. His part was the spookiest, the creepiest, the goriest. It was just really good overall. I felt like it was the best part. In all actuality, it kind of felt like we were following more of like a collection of short stories, like 4 short stories that were all connected by this like elk entity versus like a novel that is following like one story. But I didn't necessarily mind it. The first like 60% of the book is really kind of one story in itself, and I really loved that. And if I was rating the book just on that, I would have rated it 5 stars. But the ending didn't quite do it for me. I really loved the moral of the story. I really liked the last story in the book, but the getting to the last story part didn't do it for me. I felt like I was zoning out a lot while the book was going on. I felt like I was missing important details that really weren't important to the story. I felt like I just wanted to kind of get there. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the spookiness was awesome and I loved it, and the thrilling and the horror aspects were great. But to get to those horror aspects, I just kind of lost some interest along the way. Saying all of that, I loved it. I really loved the book. I love Stephen Graham Jones's writing. I like his style. It's very conversational. It's very relaxed, down to earth. I feel like it's very accessible to lots of different people. And I felt like the horror elements, while they were kind of like, ooh, they weren't like bad enough that I wouldn't recommend this book to like a teenager or a young adult, whatever you want to call them. I think that this book could easily be read in high school and enjoyed by people there. Let's see if this is cool enough. Nope. Still too hot. So saying all of that, I actually did I predict my books to be in the correct order? No, I think I got Mapping the Interior and the Mannequin one mixed up. I'm gonna put on the screen right now what I thought I was going to predict the books as, and now I'm gonna put the order of what I actually rated them in. I'm pretty sure that if I'm getting this correctly, that The Only Good Indians is still the highest with a 4-star, and that Mapping the Interior is the lowest, which I thought it was gonna be in the middle. Hey, I did a pretty good job. But I felt like 3 books just wasn't enough, especially because they were short stories. So I checked out my local online library and they had 3 more audiobooks from Stephen Graham Jones. And I thought, you know what? This video is already pretty short and I'm really enjoying Stephen Graham Jones and the audiobooks are really short. So I'm gonna check out all 3 of them, and I'm not gonna read all 3 of them, but I'm gonna read 2 more of them. And right now I'm going to tell you what they are and how I'm gonna pick which one I'm gonna read. So how I'm gonna pick is I'm just gonna read the summaries online and decide which ones sound most interesting to me. Demon Theory, Growing Up Dead in Texas, and Zombie Bake Off. I don't know anything about them right now. We're going to discover them together, and then I guess I'll rank them together, and then we will go ahead and start reading them. Just without knowing anything, just based on the titles, I feel like Zombie Bake Off might be the one I skip, just because I don't know, I'm not a huge zombie person. Like, I read all of The Walking Dead, but like, I don't know, let's see, let's actually start with that one. So Zombie Bake Off is a horror zombie story according to the genre list. Not many people have read it. It has 155 ratings. So it's time for the annual bake-off. Soccer moms and grandmas are gathering. Oh, they're going to earn, they're gonna learn some secrets and possibly win a chance to be on the show. How would you cook it then? The bake-off is crashed by a federation of pro wrestlers, including, and it's a long list of, I'm guessing, real wrestlers. All hell is set to break loose. Your heart beats faster as you anticipate who will come out on top in the ultimate showdown of the century. Soccer moms or pro wrestlers. Anything could happen. An infested batch of donuts has transformed most of the wrestlers into mindless, brain-eating zombies. Oh my god, that actually sounds really good. I think that might be one of the ones I read. Just the soccer moms versus pro wrestlers line. So the next one is Demon Theory, a psychological tale of cinematic horror. The genres are just horror novel, horror adult. On Halloween night, following an unnerving phone call from his diabetic mother, Hale and 6 of his med school classmates return to the house where his sister disappeared years ago. While there are no signs of his mother, something is waiting for them and has been waiting a long time. Written as a literary film treatment with footnotes and obscure nuances, Demon Theory is part camp, part terror. That actually sounds really good too, although later on there is a line that says fascinating pop culture references, which is something I hate. I hate pop culture references so much. That one is iffy right now just because of the pop culture line. Honestly, everything else sounds great. Growing Up Dead in Texas, if you scroll down, is fiction or mystery. This one has his name in it, so I'm really curious. It doesn't say memoir or autobiography or whatever. It was a fire that could be seen for miles, a fire that split the community, fire that turned families on each other. It's still hard to get a straight answer about. A quarter of a century ago, someone held a match to Greenwood, Texas as cotton. Stephen Graham Jones was 12 that year. That's what he remembers best. That's what stuck with him this whole time. No one came forward to claim the destruction. Now Stephen's going back his first time since high school and maybe his last, for answers for closure. Part mystery, part memoir, Growing Up Dead in Texas is packed with more secrets than your average graveyard. Oh, it's his breakout novel. I don't know, that sounds really good too. I mean, I'm not into memoirs, so that part kind of makes me iffy, honestly, but I am curious about what the rest of it said. So I think what I'm going to do now is I have to leave for work. So I'm going to maybe try a chapter of each of them and then come back to you and let you know how that's going, and then let you know if I've made a decision or if I've just decided to read all 3 of them. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the one that I'm least sure about, which is Growing Up Dead in Texas, and I'm gonna listen to it on my way to work. So let's try it. Okay, just did the first chapter of Growing Up Dead in Texas. Now I'm gonna do a chapter of Zombie Bake Off. Okay, and now on to Demon Theory. It is storming out, so I am hiding underneath the underhang right up next to the front office. So let's make this quick. I could not stand whatever the demon one is called. I made it half of the first chapter and I gave up on it because it just wasn't for me. So that made it really easy though. The 2 I'm going to be listening to are the Growing Up Dead in Texas, I think that's the name, and then the Zombie Bake Off. I decided to listen to the first chapter of Dead in Texas was like 13% of the book, and the first chapter of Undead Bake Off was like 2% of the book. So I decided to catch up that one. So I am at 15% through both of them. I am really enjoying Undead in Texas. I think I might rate it like a 4-star. I think I'll like it just slightly less than The Only Good Indians. This is my prediction time right now. And then Zombie Bake Off, I think I'm gonna like it more than Mapping the Interior, but less than the Mannequin book. That's my prediction for right now. So that means I think I'm gonna rate Zombie Bake Off either a 2.5 or a 3, and I'm going to rate the Undead one probably a 3.5 or a 4-star. Let's see how that goes. Welcome back to my room. I look absolutely horrible. So Zombie Bake Off was not my cup of tea. I made it about 50% into the book and I had to DNF it. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't care about the plot. I actually, at the point I was at, had pretty much no clue what was going on because I had stopped paying attention because I just didn't care. So that's unfortunate that, yeah, I had to DNF that one. I haven't read any more of the next one, but I'm fully planning on doing it and finishing it tomorrow. I guess I don't really have much to update you on right now. Guess who is 100% avoiding you? Yeah, it's me. It's actually been a few days since I last talked to you about Stephen Graham Jones, and that is because I made the unfortunate decision to DNF the final book, which was the Growing Up Dead in Texas. I got about 40% into it. I don't know what my hairs are doing today, but I don't like that. I got about 40% into the book and it just felt like a nonfiction memoir, and it reminded me so much of all the books I read and hated in high school for school. And I realized, why am I doing this? Why am I reading a book I hate when I could be reading a book I love? So I DNF'd and I felt really bad about it, but also not so bad about it. All I can say is that Stephen Graham Jones has definitely progressed as a writer. I would in fact read more of his works, but I think I wouldn't go back and read his old stuff. I would just continue to read stuff as he comes out with it. I'm really excited for him to write something new. I mean, I know The Only Good Indians is very new, but as more things come out, I will pick them up and I will read them, and I'll be super excited to do so. And that's what I can say. I definitely recommend checking out Mapping the Interior, even though I didn't absolutely love it. I recommend Night with the Mannequins, even though I didn't absolutely love it. And I totally recommend The Only Good Indians, which I pretty much loved. I just had a few small issues with. That's what I can say at the end of this video, and I'm sorry that I wasn't able to finish up all of the books, but you know what? Sometimes it be like that. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you for checking this out. Let me know down below if there are any other authors you'd really like me to do. I have one more on the back burner that I have planned as of right now, and then going forward, it's going to be kind of figuring things out. You should be able to see that final author coming out probably in late December, and I'm really excited to do that. It might be early January, let's be real. So thank you for watching once again. I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I will talk to you all in the comments. Bye!